Brad, as cloud computing and cloud backup continue to gain momentum and evolve, what are the trends that you're seeing?
Yeah, and there's a lot going on. There's a few things to consider here. Of course, there's the maturity of the service providers and the solutions themselves. KineticD has been investing in features and functionality, and that all continues to evolve. But there's a lot going on within the organizations who are adopting the cloud services themselves. We could start off with a discussion around technology. A good example of how the technology is advancing within the medium-sized businesses and really small businesses now as well is server virtualization. So that continues to migrate downstream, if you will. And when you think about moving to the cloud and moving storage to the cloud, and when you think about online or cloud-based backup, those solutions will need to play nice, if you will, with server virtualization. So investing in how to back up VMware environments. Microsoft is investing heavily in Hyper-V, as you know. So being able to address those types of solutions are going to become very important moving forward. They already are important, and they're going to continue to become important. The other thing that organizations are dealing with is just simply data growth. We estimate, on average, it's about 50% growth in storage capacity every year across the board. And for many organizations, depending on their industry or depending on their business, that's going to be much higher. Offering solutions around storage that can help them deal with that growth is going to be key. In particular, offering solutions where they can jump in at the right level and offer that scalability. So scalability comes to the forefront. And then things like storage efficiency, so data deduplication becomes very important. Not only for the end user, of course, there's less storage that you need to ultimately store up into the cloud. But even for the service providers themselves, deduplication is an important technology because it makes their life easier as well. It's ultimately less storage that they need to manage on their own. I know KineticD is actively involved with providing some deduplication as well.
Yes, we actually provide global block-level deduplication that actually happens at the source. So there is benefit to the end customer because they're not using as much bandwidth, and specifically the initial backup is much faster. And obviously there's huge amount of benefit on the back end. Whomever is hosting the data benefits from the storage cost savings.
Absolutely. Deduplication is really taking hold because it is touching and helping everybody within that chain.
Absolutely, and the cost savings that the vendor receives on the back end eventually get passed on to the end customer through price reduction.
Right. And then there's another major trend that's going on in terms of the desire to address business imperatives within these organizations. So, in other words, how can IT empower the organization to leverage the value of their business information? And to me, that really comes out, that sort of coalesces around two distinct points. The first one is, how do you leverage the value of data through analytics to really extract the value that you need in a pool of storage somewhere? So so that has implications on long-term storage and the ability to retrieve and provide analytics on the data. The second area is around compliance and regulatory concerns. And again, that's going to vary from industry to industry depending on what regulations they need to address. It could also be just self-imposed business governance. But nonetheless, that's something that I think service providers are ultimately going to need to address for their customers. And when you think about it, there's no one vendor or no one service provider that can address all the needs for all of their customers. So there really needs to be a partnership and ecosystem in place. So things like open APIs become very important, where that enables the managed service providers and the resellers and the integrators of these solutions who are working most closely with the end user customer to provide that flexibility to allow them to develop the solutions that can address their needs in full.
I agree with you. Having a robust API is critically important to allow our OEM partners that white label the service and sell it to their customer base the ability to integrate on the back end with their own internal billing engine, integrate on the front end with their web portals, and at the same time having the flexibility to, in a way, abstract storage and to be able to leverage the APIs of Microsoft Azure or Amazon or Rackspace to be able to have the flexibility of deciding whether they're going to host the data in their data centers or use a third-party infrastructure as a service provider partner and leverage their APIs to be able to integrate, to be able to back up into their data centers, for example.
Right. I really like the notion of providing these APIs because it really fosters that ecosystem. It fosters the flexibility for the providers to enable the customers to do the things they need to do, and it really and also to give them a comfort level to feel that they don't have vendor lock-in, because there are multiple partners involved in this process. As I said, no one vendor, I believe, can do it all, and ultimately it benefits the service providers themselves, and it's a point of attraction as they need to choose, as they choose who they're going to partner with. They're going to be looking for that flexibility as well.